of the sea. And the Lord caused the sea to go back by a strong east wind all that night, and made the sea dry land, and the waters were divided. And that's Exodus 14 and 21. And so we know that, we've been in the book here, and these lessons seem like mostly between Genesis and Exodus for all this quarter, I believe. Maybe been just Exodus. That is what it's looking like, though. So like we've been in Exodus all this quarter here. And so we should have a vast, more understanding that we had before. If we didn't have that much, we should have gained some understanding as what was going on, what was taking place during these times after the Israelites, led by Moses, left Egypt. But now we see today that it is talking about them crossing the Red Sea. So after they left Egypt, they had to go through some things. It was just not simple that, they leave Egypt and now they're all is waiting. There were some other obstacles in place. Amen. And we realize a lot of these things was because of disobedience. All right, so we're going to start reading at 10 through 12.
And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. The response to danger. Response of the people. Pharaoh's great chariot force came upon the Israelites as they were camped by the Red Sea. The people of Israel immediately realized the hopeless position they found themselves in. The fear that engulfed the Israelites seemed to push from their minds the promise of God that the Egyptians would be unsuccessful. The approaching Egyptian army was all they could see, and it produced overwhelming fear in the people. The people sarcastically accused Moses of bringing them out of Egypt just so they could die in the wilderness. They even claimed that they had begged Moses to leave them alone to serve the Egyptians rather than bring them out of the land and into the wilderness to die there.
Wow. So just to recap, we know that the Israelites was in bondage in Egypt under the hand of Pharaoh. We talked about how they first came into the land of Egypt and they're dwelling in Egypt, and the Pharaoh, after the Pharaoh that was walking with Joseph, that chose Joseph to be the leader over the land of Egypt, he had went on, there was other pharaohs behind him that went on and whatnot, and then this Pharaoh became jealous, and other people of Egypt became jealous of the Israelites, and then they tried to put burdens upon them, or they did put burdens upon them, and then so much so to put them into slavery. Now Egypt needed a deliverer, and so this is when, during this time, Moses was in the land of Egypt, and then he slew one of the Egyptians because he saw him putting a hand or beating one of the Israelites and whatnot. And then when he saw two Israelites going against each other, or one beating another or whatnot, he spoke to him. And that's when it was revealed that, hey, you know what? Who made you my taskmaster? Are you going to do me like you did the Egyptian? And so when Moses realized that this was found out, that's when he fled to the land, I think in Midian, where he met his wife and her father Jethro. this is something that he did not want to do. It was not an easy task for Moses. See, we have to think about this thing for a moment. When we become Christians or followers of God, followers of Christ, we have a false sense and think that everything is just going to be smooth.
Right.
And don't realize when you look in the scriptures that when Jesus' followers and believers in Christ, Paul, all the apostles, the prophets, they didn't have no smooth ride. It was not
Right.
smooth for them.
Right.
In fact, some of them was in slavery themselves.
Right.
When you look at Daniel was in slavery.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at the Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or their Hebrew names, Azariah, I can't even think of that Hebrew name now. But anyway, you look at them, they was in slavery. You look at Jeremiah, Ezra, they were in slavery. But we don't see that because all we look at is that prophet. They prophet, they're a man of God or whoever. You don't look at where the situation they are in at that time.
Right.
So Moses went away from the bondage that he saw of his people. He was good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But what has been charged to him wouldn't allow him to stay that way. He had to come back to a situation that he just didn't want to be in,
Mm-hmm.
to bring his people out. It's not an easy thing. When we serve God, it's a blessing. It's a wonderful thing to be a child of God. But we are going to be faced with some challenges. Mm-hmm. And this is where we are here. So Moses delivered by the word of God, by the hand of God, he delivered the people of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And now they are in the wilderness between Egypt and the Red Sea. And so everything looked okay because Pharaoh gave Moses the go ahead. Take your people and leave. Mm-hmm. And this was following the death of the firstborn. Y'all remember that? Mm-hmm. And they all the cry out in Egypt. And you would think that after that, and he told them to leave, it's all done. We good to go now. Pharaoh has lost his son and whatnot, and he gave us the go ahead to go. Not only that, he told them to go, but the people of Egypt gave the children of Israel all kinds of gold and jewelry and valuables to leave.
Food too?
Yes. To leave them. They had preparations. And they left. But then the anger rose up in Pharaoh once again. Mm-hmm. And then as the children of Israel was encamped by the sea, they happened to look up and see Pharaoh's army coming. Can you imagine that? You know this is a good thing. And I have to ask you, what would you have said if you was in the land of Egypt and you was living, there was hard labor going on because think about this thing now. I'm trying to think here. There might have been another situation. I don't want to get caught up in the movie when the straw got taken away from them and they had to make brick by that straw that they got however they could without being provided straw. I don't know if this was on the Exodus or not, or doing it when they was in slavery. But there was another part in the Bible when they actually did, and I think it was according to, it might have been in the book of Samuel, when the king took the straw away from the people. It was somewhere in the Old Testament they took the straw from the people. They had to still make bricks with equal, better quality. But anyway, what would you have done? What would you have thought when you have left Egypt, even though you have hard labor, but you were living? And you come up, you you sitting there after you have been delivered out of Egypt, and you look, and just as far as you can see is water. And then you happen to look behind you, and there's an army coming. What would you have done? What would you have said to the one that led you out of the bondage, so to speak, just to realize that, you know what, my life might end right here at sea?
I think the natural man gonna say, "Hey man, what we gonna do? You the leader. What we gonna do? What we gonna do?" There they go. We got this water here. What we gonna do? Everybody be a friend. I be a friend. We be friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's why mine will be. What we gonna do? You don't let us out here. What we gonna do?
Pushing and shoving, trying to get away from them, you know, and you know that you can't. That go water, and they're behind you. Oh, I can't imagine.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yeah. I would have said the same thing they say. I'm going, I better go back to Egypt than to die. I mean, that's just the truth.
Anybody else?
I mean, maybe it could have depended on your faith in God, you know. They behind you, and then maybe you could have reasoned with them somehow or another.
Let's visit that for a moment. That's good. Let's visit that. Now, faith in God at this time. Think about it for a moment here. They are in bondage for 400 years. They are crying for 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
That faith was shot.
Well, God had to build their faith. That's why they went through this. He knew they didn't have faith, and yet their faith had to be built up. And you know, when we get saved, we get a little faith, and then as we grow, we get more faith. And but yeah, like Sister was saying, Sister Gordon said, you know, that when you whoop an old dog to death, he ain't got no more bark in him like you would if you ain't been beating him to death. Now he in a little corner somewhere against the fence. So that's just like children of Israel would. They done been beaten for 400 years, like, you know, but they kept going. You know, they had still some belief. They still had a little faith. They had a mustard seed faith, but they didn't have that strong faith that God was showing them, but God had to build it up through them.
And that's the same way people live now. I mean, you know, you say 400 years, but you have to wait on the Lord. I mean, you know, 400 years is a long time. I don't deny that. You know, right now, people want things to happen right now. You know, but you still got to, even if it's just a mustard seed, you know, you got to wait. Your time and God's time ain't the same.
Mm-hmm.
But this is why I believe that, and you're right, our time and God's time is not the same, but how quickly we forget what God says.
Yeah.
And this is when we get to acting out in flesh rather than being obedient to God. Because you think about this thing, the things that we do, just to go back and say, Lord, I'm sorry, I messed up, I should have done this. We can easily look at it and hear Satan said, during that time, when you go back and tell God you were sorry, you messed up, or we messed up, or I messed up, you can hear Satan say, oh, wait a minute now. Well, where was your faith when you was doing what you were doing?
Right.
How is it that you supposed to be a man or woman of faith? How are you going to do this thing that you done when you said that you a man or woman of God, and now you talking about you sorry? See, Satan is an accuser. This is what he does. Just to cause you to just your countenance to drop. And just for you to say to yourself, I ain't nobody. God don't love me, you know, because of what I done, you know, or what I said. Now we start to do that, and then say he's sitting back.
Yeah.
I told you God didn't love you. But we have to, this is what we got to really remember. You know what? God knows what we're going to go through. He knows what we're going to suffer. He knows our heart. And then people got to be careful when you say that. They'll throw that around in a minute. God knows my heart.
You sure do.
He knows either you're sincere
Right.
or you're not.
Right.
That's your heart right there. So this is why, now you think about out of 400 years, he could have allowed anybody to lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. Think about this thing for a moment. Aaron was right there. Mm-hmm. He was right there. Miriam, she was right there. They didn't walk over there into Egypt with Moses. They was already there. Moses' brother and sister was already there. Joshua already there.
They didn't have the ingredients.
Yeah, Moses' mother and father was already there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not in man, in themselves to do this. Even God had to prepare Moses because Moses was not ready to do what God told him to do. He didn't want to do it.
Right.
So even in our faith, and faith is good, we must have faith in God.
Right.
But we have to allow God to use us.
Right.
We have to yield ourselves to His instruction and His teaching. Mm-hmm. We have to make sure that we are obedient to Him. And see, faith becomes active in that. Mm-hmm. Listening to God. I tell people, I tell my people in my job what I have talks with them. I said we got to look to be proactive about things rather than reactive about things. If we be proactive, we'll do things before I or my shift leader tell them to do it. Because then, if we tell them to do it, if they're sitting around or whatever on the computer or whatnot, and then we tell them to go do something, you're not doing nothing out and to cause me to be surprised. Mm-hmm. Because I told you to do it. Mm-hmm. You're being reactive according to the instructions I gave you. But if you know you're supposed to do something, and then you just go ahead and do it before I get there, and when I get there, I'm like, oh, great job! You did that. You did
right.
really well.
Right.
So this is what our faith in knowing what we're supposed to do will cause us to operate. Because these things are pleasing to God. Mm-hmm. So this is what we should be doing. I'm sorry, Lord, for it.
So what do you think you would have done?
Well, I was just thinking about that thing. That's a good question. You know what? I can't swim. I was thinking about this thing. I said, maybe, just maybe, I'll try to see if I can swim. I don't know.
Right.
I know it wouldn't work for me, but
right.
maybe I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'd rather test these water than to test these arrows over here.
Right.
That's a cool question. I was sitting thinking about that thing. What would you have done by that? It's water. Now, there is people that can swim.
Right.
So maybe if I can swim a little bit, and hopefully if I get out there a little bit, maybe they can't swim. So,
right.
I get out there, and not realize I can't stay in water that long.
Right.
But, it's ignorant on our part.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Right.
I'll just be hoping. God, if you're going to do something, you're going to have to do it out here in the water.
I'll tell you, I think that's where it will be today without mine. I'll say, Lord, I just had to try to swim away from that, that trouble. I can swim.
See, y'all ain't thought about that. See that?
Think about that. They coming behind with arrows.
Right. You shouldn't do that.
They'll shoot you out there if you're down in the ocean. I think I just go back with them.
Yeah, be like, look, y'all find me some bamboo. Let me see what I just say.
I do it. Because I think that they left, they didn't travel. I don't think they had any weapons, I don't imagine. Because they were just workers.
Probably.
Yeah. And then they probably had no fight in them either, coming out of bondage. You know, going to the unknown, you've been a slave for 400 years, you don't know which, you never been outside of the real area.
You'd be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get into that later.
Right.
You know, when I was reading it, I felt just like these people. And, you know, I began to talk to God and say, you know, I am sorry that I believe I would have felt just like these people. And so in asking God, you know, in this life right here, but looking back at what's going on here, but in my life, God done blessed me over and over and over again. But still, looking at this episode, I would have felt just like them. Probably fell on my knees and said, Lord, this is it.
You know,
Feeling sorrowful.
and I believe that you're right, Lonnie. You want me to tell you why? And I believe that this is what she said. In other words, said that she felt just like those people during that time. I believe that this is something that we will all find ourselves in. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because all you have to do is look at your lifestyle now. How many times we find ourselves spinning wheels?
Yes.
And knowing what God said and know, I mean, think about it. They knew what God did. Look at the plagues that he allowed to happen in the land of Egypt. And just that quick, they forgot what he had done.
Yes.
And so look at what God has delivered us from, right? Different situations, different circumstances. What caused you to be here today? Right? What things that you have prayed for and God have answered those prayers, and when those prayers are answered, you have in your mind, think about it for a minute. You have in your mind, man, this ain't nobody but God. I didn't know there was nobody but God.
Right.
And yet, we find ourselves in another situation and we're questioning whether God will deliver you or not. So there is where we are today. We in the same position, just in more modern time as it was back then. We find ourselves so many times today stuck at the Red Sea.
Right.
Come on, say that again.
Boy.
Amen.
All right, y'all. Anybody else? This is good conversation.
Yes, sir.
And you know, some of us is just as hard-headed as Pharaoh, if not more. But I'm gonna tell you, when the day came, when it was somebody dead in every house, I think they would have done it for me. I mean, I would have been convinced then. You know.
Seem like,
If God didn't hold your heart, God hardened his heart. That was his plan.
Yeah.
That was the plan.
Can't do that with God heart and heart. That's right. You know, we looking at some of the evidence now. Things people, we see storms, we see fires in one state, we see drowning, we see murder, but still people still doing the same old thing, same old way. You know, I look at what we saying, what we see that you see like all that death would have changed, but then you're looking at homeboys get killed. You know, one young boy from Lewisburg got killed in Franklin. Young boys still doing the same thing. They ain't missed a beat. Seems like something will woke up like, look, we need to stop living this lifestyle.
That's right.
They still ain't no warrants.
They get worse.
Yeah, Eastwood Road, young boy had plenty of friends, lost his life in a car wreck. Boy still, lighting it up in the air for him. You know, they still ain't no change though. You know, so I don't know if that look, like I said, they kept on doing what they were doing. God did it. You know, look at this. That was God's will and his plan. Just like it was his will and plan for them to come out. Pastor said Aaron was there, Mary was there. But when Moses went up to the mountain, Aaron let the people overrule him. Went back doing the same thing, did he?
yeah. Amen. That's good point. That's good conversation.
But Pastor, I just want to add real quick. But going back to what you really said earlier, we got to have a desire to want to do it too. We have faith, but we have to have a desire. Got to have want to do it. My mind had to be already made up. This is what I want to do. You know, this is the walk that I wanna take.
That's right. Because if you don't have a desire to follow Christ, this really takes me back to the soul. When you sow the seed,
Mm-hmm.
and it falls on shallow ground, or stony ground, and you don't want to fall in the briars of the bush, the weeds, and stuff like that. And some fall by the wayside. This is what it is. You know, a lot of people have a feel-good moment,
Mm-hmm.
but because there's no root,
Mm-hmm.
it withers away. I mean, yeah.
Yep, no doubt.
Yep.
If a person doesn't have the desire to, and it's like you said, you got to have a zeal, a desire to do the will of God. But if a person doesn't have that, and I say a person may want it on the inside, can you pray for that desire?
Yeah, you know, but you know, I look at it.
I mean, because everybody don't have the desire.
That's true.
Uh-huh.
But there sometimes, and more times than not, I believe that there's something happens
Mhm.
that gives you awakening in your spirit. Something that God does
Amen.
and causes you to realize that, hey, this is not by your actions
Right.
or anything. This is something that God has done. Because you think about people that don't believe in anything. You think about people that believe, they are antichrist. There have been people, or there are people that has been converted from antichrist to believing in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because you would think that if a person just don't believe in Christ, it just ain't gonna believe. But that's untrue. I remember, and I read on it a few years ago. You heard about the lady Mary Magdalene O'Hara. She was an antichrist. She the one that gave petition back in the '60s to take prayer out of school. Y'all remember that? And her and her son, I believe, and her granddaughter, anyway, she was on TV and everything. She just didn't believe in God, and she went against God, gave petitions and everything. So much, it did so much. But she died a horrible death. They found her body, I think, in a barrel, in pieces. Her and her, I don't know if it was her son or her grandchild. She died a horrible death. Yeah, she died a horrible death. But anyway, her other son, he ended up giving his life to Christ. Sure did. And I think he became a preacher. I believe he's still living. But yeah, he became a preacher and whatnot. And I mean, he talked about it, some of the things and whatnot. So you can come up as a child and being taught not to believe certain things. But there can be a turn of events that happen
Mm-hmm.
that cause you to believe. Now, I mean, you take Moses for example. Moses, his attention was caught at first by a bush. Now, Moses had a heart to do the right thing and still not knowing who God is.
He had a doubt.
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
His attention was caught by something that was far off, up in the mountain. He said, I think what he saw light, you to turn from the person that you used to be. What happened in your life? You didn't do it.
Right.
I didn't do it.
The spirit, yeah.
But that was something that happened that caused you to turn from where you were. That was multiple things happened in my life, and I started putting these things together. Yeah, and I'm like, what, and then God started showing me. I mean, he was just showing me. You see all this? I delivered you from all of that right there.
Mm-hmm.
But he caught my attention with something first,
Right.
and I was out partying at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When he first caught my attention. I mean, I was out there in Grove Hill. Me, Norwood, Yarborough, and Ricky Austin. So, I mean, we were hanging together, and we just knew we were just three of us against a whole, I don't know, a whole neighborhood, a whole city.
Right.
Seemed like. And black dark, and all I could see over there was a dark, steep ravine down there. They had trapped us in the middle of the highway. And I just knew it was, I said, well, I can fight, but I can't fight all these people. That's why I was thinking, I said, ain't no way I can fight all these people. And Noah started popping his door open. And I'm like, man, are you crazy?
Right.
Believe it or not. But at the same time, I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. Going like, man, what am I going to do? And I started in my spirit. I said, Lord, help me out of this, please. I wasn't saying anything with my lips.
Right.
But I was saying, Lord, help me out of this. Help me out, deliver me. I need to, please, Lord, help me out of this situation. I didn't cry. Well, I didn't cry physically. But I might have been crying on the inside.
Right.
But by that time, now I'm sitting in the back seat. I happened to look in a rearview mirror up in the front. And we was out in the country on a dark road.
Right.
Happened to look in the rearview mirror, and there was some blue lights coming from a distance.
Right.
Where did that come from?
Right.
I mean, for real, where did the blue lights come from? How did the cops know that something was finna go on way out in the country?
Right.
And when I saw those blue lights, those guys jumped in those vehicles and whatnot and started taking off,
Right.
woo! I'm like, wow. I mean, my mind was blown. I'm like, man, I would have been dead. I really feel like they would have found us down over there in that ravine somewhere.
Right.
We probably got one or two, but we'd have been done.
Yeah.
I really believe we would have been done because you don't know what those guys had. I mean, you think about it, and it was, to me, it was all divine intervention because at the time I was driving my white Toyota, and I always kept my 45 right there in my door. And just so happened, Rick told me, "Hey man, come on with us," and I left my gun in the car, in my car. So I couldn't set nothing off.
Right.
I couldn't do this like, yeah, come on. Yeah, that was done. So it was just this or nothing.
Right.
And then I didn't realize it was nothing but God.
Right.
So this was the beginning to me of the turn of events, or the climax that I would go through to show me who God is. And when I saw that, I was like, wow. It blew my mind. Because I know that I had no power.
Right.
No, I had no choice. I mean, none. I was out of options. So, yeah, I thought about it. So, yeah, I said, okay, Lord, I thank you.
I know that's right.
I cried later.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
And that's why I believe, to a lot of point about the desire, the challenge is going to come. It's good to have a real strong desire, but whether you do or don't, the challenge is going to come.
Coming. It sure coming. You believe it. Wow. Y'all got us stuck in one scripture. Man, that's good. All right. So where are we? 13 and 14.
And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will soon to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord said, Fight for you. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Response to Moses. Moses' reaction to the situation stands in the marked contrast to that of the multitude. He urged the peoples to not be afraid, and then calmly and confidently.
Okay, now, spiritually speaking, what good is standing still when your mind's still all to pieces.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, see?
That's good.
So, I'm standing still, but
Yeah. Right.
I'm about to lose it.
Right. Right.
Think about it today. And people use this scripture all the time, or they use this phrase all the time. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Okay. Stand still. All right, John. I don't see no salvation. I'm standing still.
Mm-hmm.
Stand still. In other words, calm yourself.
Done. That's it.
Calm yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And watch what God does.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Watch how God operates.
Yes. Yes.
Have faith. What you were just saying. Have faith in Him. You saw what He had done before we left Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Calm yourself. Just watch. Just watch. Now, Moses had to have a relationship at this point. He had to have a relationship with God in order to knew that God was going to move.
Right.
But the multitude did not. And so Moses had to be the mouthpiece for God to let them know, just like he did in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Aaron. Just like he did then. So when you look at this thing, he said, Moses said unto the people, fear ye not. That's it. Stand still. Don't fear. Be calm. Don't fear. Stand still. Don't fear. Be calm. Don't fear. That is what he is telling them. Okay. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord.
Yes.
You cannot see anything clearly when your mind is all over the place.
That's right.
Huh? When you're looking at, look, come on now, y'all seen this before. Y'all believe y'all seen this before, haven't you? Ask Peter.
Uh-huh.
Huh? This is the same situation that Peter was in
Uh-huh.
when he was on the troubled water.
Yes, sir.
See, this gets good to me now.
Yes, sir.
He asked Jesus to tell him to be him to come to him, and Jesus told him to come.
Uh-huh.
Now, we look at Peter and say, well, Peter didn't have faith because he ended up going down in the water. But guess what? When Peter first stepped off that boat, Peter was walking on water.
Yes, sir, he was.
Huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, he was.
He didn't see the mess around him. What he saw was Jesus.
That's
He
it.
was talking to him.
That's it.
So he would start walking toward Jesus on the water.
That's how.
But then he got distracted.
Right.
He started, evidently the wind hit him and he felt it. The water splashing in his face and he felt it. And then he looked around, he took his eyes off Jesus and looked around. And realized that he was walking on the water in the midst of a storm. Peter, you ain't supposed to do that.
Uh-huh.
And then he got scared. And then he started to go down in the water. And Jesus let him know, you a little faith.
Right.
And you know, I'm not cutting across.
No, go ahead.
You know, I had a similar situation just this past Sunday, similar to that. You know, after I left here, you know, late on in the evening, it caused me to go back to my old self, not the drinking and the smoking and the stuff like that. But you know, first of all, confession is good. You know, confession is always good. So, and I won't get into the whole story, but it had me cursing. I was angry. You know, it was a really, really tough situation. And I actually told my wife, I said, you know what? Because it made me feel like everything that I had accomplished, I lost it just like that. That's the way I felt. And so I told my wife, I said, you know, maybe this church thing ain't for me. I was at the very bottom. But had I not stood still and calmed myself, I would have been in some kind of mess. So that is true. Everybody needs to listen to that and remember that. Because challenges, these things are going to happen. And you got to know that God has got you. I mean, you may be all the way to the bottom and nothing may be sticking out but just the top of your head. But you got to know that God has still got you.
That's it.
You know?
Amen.
It's really tough.
Amen. Two things that I got right now. One is that when it comes down to us and God, it's not a church thing. It's just a relationship between you and God, between me and God. That's what it is. This don't have anything to do with that. Nothing.
Right.
Huh? So, it's good to fellowship with our brothers and come together and have a relationship with our brothers. But even if we're not there at that time, then we got to have a relationship with God.
That's it.
For 2 Peter, that's what God identified you with right now. Peter. When he fell short by denying Jesus, because he was ready, he was hungry. He even fought for him. He cut the soldier's ear off.
He said, I'm ready.
He told you, he said, I would die for you. This is how we felt that night. I'll die for Jesus. And Jesus told him, he said, Peter, before the sunrise, the Bible said before the cock crows, he said, before the sunrise, he said, you're going to deny me this night 3 times.
Not me, Lord.
Before the sun. And then when he did it, now realizing what Jesus had told him, and he did it.
Right.
He denied him 3 times that same night. And that's when Jesus brought it to his memory. And he was broken.
He finally called him.
He was broken at that point. But when Jesus returned, when Jesus came back, he told the disciples where to meet him at. And he said, tell Peter to come too. He said, tell Peter. And then when Peter came to him, he talked to Peter. He said, Peter, does thou love me? Peter said, yes, Lord. He said, well, feed my sheep. Boy, this is good. And then he looked at Peter again and said, Peter, does thou love me? He said, yes, I love you. He said, well, feed my lamb. Then he looked at me again and said, Peter, do you love me? And Peter started crying. He said, Lord, you know I love you. You know I love you. You know all things. He said, well, feed my sheep. God had not turned his back on Peter. Even though Peter denied him at that time.
Right. He knew.
He didn't turn his back on him, but he knew. We said, God knew our heart. God knew Peter loved him.
Right.
But God also wanted Peter to know that he loved him as well. Right. And he gave him a charge.
Right.
He told him what to do.
What to do.
And even at that point after that, he laid his hands on him and the other disciples and opened their understanding. Yes. And then they became apostles.
That's it. Yes, sir.
And did the things that God had charged them all to do. So we can either move forward knowing that we love God and that God loves us, or we can listen to Satan and stand where we are, or we think we're standing where we are, but we're actually going backwards. We, as children of God, mess up many times. Somebody might look at Brother Mike and say, I ain't cussed nobody out since I've been saved. Boy, he really going to hell. He done cut people out. Well, now what you done judged this man. Uh-oh. How did that make you any better?
That's right.
We have to be careful when this is why God's grace is so sufficient. This is why His mercy is such a blessing because He looks at us. He don't look at us, amen, as we look at one another.
Right.
Jesus, thank you.
I thank God that He sent a finished work in me because I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't see a finished work in me yet.
Amen. Thank you.
Huh? Because I'm too flawed. I mean, I am.
That's right.
Right. He see the heart.
Yeah. I'm just as flawed as I don't know what. And, you know, and yeah, I ain't tell you everything that all the times I messed up or whatever, or what I said or whatever, because I know, you know, I just ain't.
Right.
I say some things, but I ain't said it all. It's a lot, but I said, Lord, you got to take me and wash me.
Yes.
Right.
Amen. Thank you, Jesus.
Right.
Because even though that I call myself an instrument, and I believe that I'm an instrument of the Lord, but still, I got to go wild. I got dirty. I got to be washed.
Right.
Y'all, I don't know how I got on these,
Lord,
it's-
know
That's
what
good.
we
That's
need.
what it's it. That's right.
but it's good.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
So this is why, you know what, we don't need to sit in shame.
Right.
We don't need to be embarrassed and whatnot. Because all we need to do is shame the devil.
That's right.
That's right.
When we call it out, when we call him out, when we have done something, we realize when it comes down to our attention that Satan has just used us to do the wrong thing. And that's when he's going to use us to do the wrong thing. We got to embarrass him then.
Right.
We got to call him out then. I can tell you something that just natural people just don't see. And this is why I know God is using me. Listen, we talk about Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit. No? We talk about these things. And Adam, he fell short. Adam, he hadn't ate that apple. Don't even realize it wasn't in the apple. Even missed the whole thing about it was disobedient.
Right.
But yet, Adam and Eve had, at that time, they had Cain and Abel. Huh? And after Cain slew Abel, then they had Seth. And then they had daughters as well.
Right. They did.
We had to.
They did. Yeah.
But even on top of that, if Adam and Eve fell short, because somebody might look at Adam and Eve and say, well, if they disobeyed God, they went to hell. Anybody ever thought that? Well, how is it that God was able to do the things that the people was walking in obedience to him? If Adam and Eve was the first man and woman and they went to hell, how was God able to do such things? God forgave them.
That's right.
And God allowed Adam and Eve to teach their children. That's why I ain't seen it in the Bible. The Spirit got to reveal it, y'all.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
God allowed them to teach. Come on now. Look at Seth. These, amen, Seth's children was the sons of God. Well, I ain't seen it about. Look again. All you have to do is look again and see. You start putting things together. Ask God to reveal. Y'all, I don't know about this whole lesson.
That's right.
But these things, we have to ask God to open up our spiritual eye and our understanding. You know, ask God to touch us that he can show us what he wants us to know. Not as man wants us to see it, not as man wants to show it to us, but ask God to clearly reveal things to me. Because how is it that Adam and Eve commit such a great sin, and yet, you know, as you come down through the ages, these scriptures was written and everything. People don't teach this stuff.
Right.
I'll tell you what, that thing, ooh, boy, that thing made me feel some kind of bad. Because see, now, the devil is sitting right here, and he's whispering in my ear. Now, he's telling me all the things, you know, you see, I told you, you know, you might well just give up on following Jesus. Because you see what you did? You want who you thought you was, huh? All of these things is going through my mind and in my ears.
He's a whisperer.
Yeah.
He whispered to Eve, in the garden, and she entertained it. He sat there too long.
That's what he does. He goes back and forth. You know, you ever seen this? I mean, we see this so many times in the natural. Satan is sitting right there too.
Such a deceiver.
I heard that old John is savage. He his money. And then they.
That's it.
Oh, Carl told me.
Let me know your
Oh, that's but yeah, but we have to be careful. Because, okay, it said, we have to cut it off. God, is this of you or is this of Satan? And if God says this is not of me, and he'll tell you, he will. It's up to you to listen. He'll tell you, this is not of me. And you have to put the brakes on. Right then. But what we do, get caught up in the flesh and say, God, I know this is wrong. But God, you don't have to forgive me. Because this is some good stuff. This is meat. This is meat here. I got to tell somebody. God ain't got to forgive you. Keep that in mind.
Right.
You don't have to forgive you.
Amen. You see, think about what you were saying, how, you know, things come about, but the enemy, he whispers, he gets you to doubt God. But right when he knows you about to either cuss or go back and get that person or just have it in your spirit, he's sitting back just smiling and grinning. Oh boy, this is good. He knows that. He knows what you're going to do. And then the first thing he do, he'll put you out there in that water, and he's going to lead you out there. How do you get out there? See, the Lord, you know, he wouldn't have did it. Then come back and then he'll make you feel bad. He starts you up and then make you feel bad. You out here by yourself. See, I told you God he ain't going to help you.
You make sure, and this goes for anybody else in here, everybody else in here, including myself, walk with a claim.
Amen.
And let Satan know you thought you had it. I am a child of God. You can't have me because God already paid the price.
Amen to that. Yes, sir.
Let it know. I have to say this. Satan, you thought you had me, didn't you?
Right.
I'm a man of God. You can't have me. He had went down in the pits of hell and removed my name out of hell. How is it that you think you can have me? I am in the hands of God, and he said, you cannot pluck me out. What makes you think you can steal me from God? I don't think it's just me. Amen. I'm going to get ready to turn into the hands of the secretary. We only got, what, part way through this thing? Huh? I'm sorry. We're putting the hands of children. Whew. Again. Straight away.
That's good.
Scripture prayer was opened by Journey this morning. And she volunteered. was thrown in the well? What's your friend's name? You said that's your best friend, one of your friend's name. What's his name?
All right.
All right.
And he was thrown in the well by his who?
Yeah.
Yeah, and why did his brothers throw him in the well? Because he had what? He had what? Dream.
Yeah.
They had to bow down, so they threw him in the well, and at the end, they all ended up going to Egypt, right? And Joseph forgave his brothers, right?
Okay.
All right.
All right. Good job.
God knows what we need before we ask.
That's right. And that's all. Yes, sir.
He has answered us before we even finished asking. All right, anybody want to talk about anything? I know we was all over the lesson this morning. Anything anybody want to talk about?
We need to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord when our backs are up against the wall. I know sometimes the fear overtake us, and I mean, it's just flesh, but we do need to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord.
Amen. All right, at this time, I will put it into the hands of the secretary.
Sunday School, November 17, 2019. Prayer was done by Pastor Davis. The lesson was crossing the Red Sea. The scripture came from Exodus 14:10-22. Teacher was Pastor Davis. We had 13 in attendance.
We thank God for the blessings of the lessons, the adults and the children, the minutes that was read and everything. And I hope that, whatever was said becomes food to that soul. And we give an application to it. It was one thing, we got partial way to the lesson. I don't even know we got a third of that particular lesson. But lessons were still taught, right?
Amen.
So it was a wonderful thing to be able to, we talk and have the dialogue with one another and certain things. We thank God even for the testimony. Amen. Because it would help somebody else.
Yes, sir.
Amen. So this time, let's prepare this Sunday school. Let us dismiss by the word of amen.
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 Amen. Amen.
Bless you. Love you too.
All this time. Amen.
See you. Don't see that much these days. Missing one another.
Blessings to you. How are you, sweetheart? Love you too. Amen. Come on in. How are you? Amen. Good to see you today.
Oh, wow. How we doing?
I don't know. Come in, come sit down one moment. You're coloring.
Hey, how are you?